Bro, love does not hurt. Stop lying. You've been misconstrued. You've been confusing your servitude and your attachment, your affections, your affinities for the people around you and the patterns and the familiarity that they provide. The combination of the imaginations that you hold dearly that include the participants that you need to stay present in order to fulfill the inner promises and wishes that you hold sacred. That's what hurts. When people shatter those, when people act in ways that you can't control, when you thought that the things that you were doing were guaranteeing you their presence to fulfill the role that you had casted them for, and then they up and make a change that you can't stop, and now you want to attack them. Now all of a sudden you hate them. But this is the same person who you used to say you loved. How do we end up in these quarrels, in these back and forth wars with people who we used to lay with, people who we used to laugh with, people who we used to ride in cars with, people who we partnered and made children with? How do we do it? Other than we have an attachment that we call love. We say things out of our mouths that we don't really mean, not because we're malicious, but because we are genuinely convinced of the lies that we spread. We lie to ourselves before we lie to them. You were telling that person that you were not willing to give yourself freely to, that you loved them. You were telling that person that you were not willing to do any and everything for, and you had no limitations and no conditions to your presentation. You were telling them everything that they wanted to hear, everything that they needed to know to drop their guard and leave themselves vulnerable to you and your poor habits, your piss poor management of your mental, your emotional instability. A lot of these people came in and out of fear, they told you what it was they had been through in hopes that you hearing how bad it was and hearing how bad off it left them, you wouldn't recreate it all over again. But that's just two people who don't understand universal law and don't understand how this world turns, who don't understand how life inside of the earth, your flesh, is drafted and drawn. Because anything you run from, you run to. So when you get to that new person who has never done you wrong, and you started out by trying to provide them an education in what the last person did wrong and how bad it was, that's manipulation. You're doing nothing but trying to fill them in on your past experience that you have made traumatic because you have not let it go, and you are letting them know in that moment that they have connected with somebody who that wasn't single, even if you no longer was with that person that hurt you affectionately, because geographically you left. But if when you got to me, you were still talking about how bad they was and how bad off you are because of them, clearly y'all still together. Love does not hurt, but pretending does. It hurts you, and it also is of no benefit to the person that you are offering the pretending presentation to. You're wasting time. You're wasting influence. You're wasting your impact. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your attention. You're wasting your life. That thing that you say you hate doing, that's all you're doing when you sit inside of yourself feeling ways about things that have happened behind you that have clearly ended. And you're just rehearsing them, regurgitating them, replaying them, conversating about it, just calling more of the experience to yourself by yourself. And that is crazy. What is love? Is love a ooey gooey feeling on the inside? Is love me dedicating my flesh solely to you and not cheating on you? Is love, what is love? Love is me giving myself unconditionally to you in every aspect that there is for your edification and your benefit and your gain. So if I'm loving you, when I'm around you, I'll be checking to make sure that I'm edifying you and I'm benefiting you. I won't be checking you to make sure you benefit me. That's not me loving you. That's me trying to see if you're serving me. And you spend a lot of time around people who are not interested in loving you. They are interested in critiquing how well you are serving them. And you see it clearly as day, and you serve them time and time again because you are seeking acceptance. You are not after love. You haven't even discovered love within yourself to know that that is what you should be seeking from other people. You do people a favor and you think they owe you a couple dollars, some gas money. Oh no, man, nothing but to love them. If you didn't want to take them for free, you should have said no. Then you wouldn't have had to get upset if they didn't give you $7 for the little trip across town in your car with no air conditioning. Acting like that. Hey, we pretend that we do a bunch of things for other people when we are really just serving ourselves, and then we get offended with them when they don't receive it with gratitude. But why would they receive it with gratitude if they are energy beings just like you? If they are energy beings just like you and they can feel when something is on or feel when something is off, then why would they not feel that your presentation was not genuine? Why would they not feel you in the driver's seat doing something you volunteered to do, getting offended because they are not volunteering to do something that you didn't ask them to do? This is the paradox of the human brain. Loving another person, loving yourself are two of the most natural things that you could ever do. Anything natural does not hurt. Anything natural should not be labeled bad, but if it's labeled bad, it's because your opinion is not in alignment with truth. So you can call things good or call things bad, but there is a such thing as objective truth. And it lets you know that we have gotten caught up in quite the simulation when you have to explain to the general population that everything is not subjective, that everything is not reliant on your opinion or your perspective. There are things that just are. Like we have created conversations around things that just are. We ain't even gonna take it there because our views going up, and I ain't trying to get knocked down. I ain't even gonna play. If you wise and you are tapped in to I am, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have created conversations around things that are immovable, immutable, unchangeable in any way. And we have allowed for people to create conversations in those areas and say whatever it is that they want. And we have said that people are wrong to deny them the space to express their illusions. That's just how we rocking right now. But we're being led by a group of people who want us diluted, delusional, and ignorant. So of course, these conversations are going to be offered to us, but we should not take everything that's offered to us. As entities of truth, as students, you know that all things are free for you to experience. There is no restraint. There is no restriction. You are absolutely 100% free to do whatever it is that you get it in your head that you want to do. But you do also know by your higher self that knows all things and is with you at all times, just like your lower self is, on a plane that is not governed by matter, so you can't see the two. But because you are a divine being that is not led by the lower expression of your physical body, you are consciously in conversation with beings on other planes. Two beings in particular, to keep it very simple. Because you know how we get when things stop aligning with what we think we know. So I don't want to stretch you too far because I really want you to get this part. You are constantly in conversation with these entities, and you are constantly being driven by one or the other because they are constantly at enmity with each other. Your lower self and your higher self are never directing you to do the same thing. And that's where self-discipline, accountability, honesty with yourself, the ability to correct yourself, listen to the inner counsel, listen to the inner guidance, listen to the inner teacher, and follow and apply the divine solutions that you are receiving from within, from the higher self. If you can't do that because you've never practiced that in the lower realm, because you don't listen to anybody, you don't take accountability in the physical, then it's going to be a real tough transition for you. I'm not saying it's impossible. What I'm saying is there are going to be times that you think you have it and you haven't changed anything at all. You're just in one of those spaces where everything being asked of you right now is what you are willing to give. And you won't know that you haven't made a change. You won't know that nothing has been altered until you get to a moment where spiritually you are being called to give something that you physically still see as your own. See, we want to have the peace without the process of dropping all of the illusions and all of the lies that have withheld the peace from us, or withheld us from experiencing the peace, because the peace is never being withheld from us. We withhold ourselves from the experience of the peace. The peace is never revoked. It was given one time for all, equally dispensed, with no regard to your physical anatomy or your behavior at all. You don't get tired of loving. You get tired of extending yourself conditionally. You get tired of making exchanges. You get tired of bargains. You get tired of discount shopping. You get tired of connecting yourself to people who you are serving, who you expect to serve you, but they drop the ball and you feel like you never do. You get tired of giving yourself in places and spaces that you never wanted to give. You only showed up to receive. You were wired wrong. You came in thinking wrong when you shook hands in the beginning, when y'all hugged and locked in and said, this is us and this is what we're here to do. You were lying. You were not there to give. You stood right there in your shoes, looked them dead in their eyes, and you saw everything that you had been looking for to fulfill your desires. And then when they came in and they didn't meet the criteria in action the way they did in your imagination, you took offense with them. You do all of this pretending. You say all of the right things to other people. And then when you get by yourself, you are drained and you give yourself all of the negativity that you withhold in your presentation when you are in front of people who you want to see you as acceptable and approved. And then you gripe and complain that you don't have a you. You don't need a you. You need to be who you've been pretending to be for them, for yourself. You need to love yourself, and then the love of them will naturally flow from the well of love that you are. As you learn to be gracious and forgiving to yourself, it won't take anything to understand when they make a mistake. It won't take anything to be kind and considerate and patient with somebody else learning a new way when you realize how long you've been stuck in your own ways and you give yourself grace to make the shift. All of the pressure that you've been putting on yourself since you were a child has never effectively changed anything. It's actually led you to be very evasive when it comes to taking accountability, and also very imaginative, but to your detriment, not to your fulfillment, because you actually rather imagine yourself making a change. You actually rather pretend that you made a change. And then when something takes place that exposes that there was no change, you rather place blame rather than take accountability and see that you did not change. Once again, you only switch mask. You have a closet not full of clothes. It may be full of clothes, but regardless, you have a closet full of metaphysical masks that you put on top of your face, and you walk out into this world day after day and pretend to be somebody that you're not, and that's what drains you. You are not drained from giving yourself freely, naturally. That's not it. That's the narrative that you've been feeding yourself. But that's why you treat the people the closest to you the worst. That's why you treat your kids in ways that you probably don't treat your coworkers. Because you are genuinely convinced that you give these people so much of yourself that you don't have anything left to give to you. And you should probably stop using the service method and adopt the love methodology. You should probably stop being the people around you's butler. You should probably take off the Jeffrey outfit. Because you also carry in your head that you are leading this family. Butlers don't lead, butlers follow. And that's exactly who you have been up until the point that you are no longer dissatisfied with extending yourself to the people around you who you have committed yourself to. But right now, you ain't committed to nobody but yourself. Right now, you ain't doing nothing but doing what you think you have to do, and you grow tired of that. You shouldn't be feeding the kids and devoting your time to paying the bills and getting them where they need to be because you laid down and had a sexual encounter and now they're here and they're your responsibility, or somebody's going to point you out as a terrible parent if you don't. You should be doing it out of a sense of love, and then you won't get tired. You shouldn't be making dinner for your husband or your wife, or going out into work to pay the bills for your spouse and take care of the house so that they don't leave you or they don't make fun of you for being flat. You should be doing it out of a sense of love, and then you wouldn't get tired. You would actually find it in your heart every day to get up and want to go and want to give and want to do and want to extend. But because you play so many games, just like an athlete, after so many games, you get tired. And after you get fatigued and you keep going, now you're susceptible to injury. And once you are injured, now you are on the bench and you have to recover. You have to heal. That's been you pouring from this empty cup. You won't sit down and meditate. You avoid silence. You won't program the truth into your psyche, even though daily, no matter how much you avoid it, the lies and illusions are seeping in, rushing in. You can not watch the news and you can catch some of this stuff in the grocery store just trying to get food. See, avoidance is not the answer. You standing above the noise, above the chaos, above the lies, above the illusion, above where the pseudo government can build and control, that is the solution. But you want to lay down and be healed. You want to stay in pieces, giving yourself in service all over the place, but be whole. So I'm saying we want the end goal, but we don't want to run the race. We want to win. We want the trophy. We want the ring, but we don't want to go through the practice and night after night performing effectively, making the adjustments and adapting to what the moment calls for to get to the end result that it is that we are wishing for. And just like the person at a wishing well tossing pennies into the water hoping to get rich, you probably never will. Lock in.